Hey boos and boozettes. I'm here today with story time. What to talk about? Story time. I was thinking worst date ever. We've all been there. At some point in our life, we've had the bad date. Hopefully, it was one. Even better, it was none for you lucky people. But if you haven't had a bad date, that's probably because you've never been on one. Okay, anyways. So, first of all, I would like to start by saying how I met this person. I met him through a really good friend of mine a few years ago. Before I officially had any boyfriend before. This was like it wasn't the first date, but it was a date. So yeah, I met him through mutual friends. Wasn't attracted to him the first time I saw him. He was a good-looking guy, but he wasn't my cup of tea. But I didn't know his personality. So he asked my friend a few questions about me or whatever, and as just being nice as a courtesy, I decided to go on a date with him. Date started off, I thought it was pretty good. Well, when I talked to him, before the date, I should say, I thought it was going pretty well. He seemed like a cool guy when we were text messaging and talking over the phone together for like a week or two. But then then we finally set a date to go out, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to go to the movie. He's like, yeah, we can probably go to the movie, and if we want, we can go to the beach afterwards. So I agreed to it, and I wouldn't typically go out with somebody that I don't know, but because the friend that we kind of like met through, like I trusted her, and he was like really good friends with her boyfriend at the time. I knew she knew him pretty well enough, and I trusted her. So anyways, fast forward, he says that we're going to go out to a movie and to the beach. Later on that night, he texts me asking me asking me what time I was going to come pick him up. Okay, so I just found out he doesn't have a car, and I'm picking him up for our first date. So he texts me his address, and I go to his house to pick him up, and I text him when I get there that I'm outside, right? So I'm outside, I'm waiting in the car, and waiting in the car, and waiting in the car, and after like 20 minutes later, I call him. I'm like, hey, I told you I'm outside, right? And he was like, yeah, I'm coming. So he finally comes outside like 5 minutes later. And he sits in my car and he tells me, oh, you look really nice and stuff. And I'm like, thank you, you do too. I guess he was looking alright, no big deal. Anyways, I'm getting ready to drive off, and he stops me. He's like, wait, hold on. Forgot to put on deodorant. So he gets up and he gets out of the car and he goes back inside his house to get his deodorant. Takes him about 5 minutes to get his deodorant. He comes back to the car and he starts telling me how he has this sweating issue and he just sweats profusely a lot and he always has to put on deodorant after every shower, and he goes into details about this sweating issue that he has. I really don't think I needed to hear all of it. I didn't know how to tell him to stop talking, but he just kept going. At some point he stopped. 10 minutes later he stopped about this whole sweating issue, and we decided to go. We finally end up at the movie theater. So we're in the movies. I really don't even remember what movie you know what? It was a scary movie. We saw something like Paranormal Activity. Yeah, I think it was I think it's Paranormal Activity, like the first one. But this is a really good video to do right around Halloween time. But yeah, so we saw the movie. Movie was okay. He starts telling me how like scared he was. Like the movie's like so terrifying. Like he's so scared. He's so scared. It's gonna be so hard for him to sleep that night. He said he doesn't do well with scary movies, and I'm really not sure why he went to see the movie if he's scared of scary movies, right? Well, I mean, I like scary movies, but if you're that terrified, you should have told me before we got there. So anyway, so we watched the movie, we're enjoying the movie, or I'm enjoying the movie, and he was scared the whole time. So we get in the car and we drive to the beach. When we reach the beach, he keeps telling me how nice I look again, and I'm like, thank you. You know, he's giving me quite a few compliments, too many at this point. And we're just like walking along the beach or whatever, and then he kept trying to grab my hand, but I kept like finding excuses to move it away. I didn't really want to hold his hand. At some point he finally got a hold of it, and his hands were like so sweaty. I guess he wasn't joking about the sweat issue he was telling me about earlier. And he's like, oh, I guess I'm like a little nervous or whatever. My hands are a little sweaty, you know, like it tends to do that. Like it tends to be a little sweaty. It's sweaty, yeah. So he got on the topic again about the sweat. Yeah. At this point, I'm just wanting the date to just hurry up and be over. Like, I had so many things to do. Well, I didn't have anything to do, but I would have been better off doing anything else but that at that time. So finally what do I do then? What happens then? Oh yeah, so we walk down the beach, and then on our way back, he sees these guys passing by, and then he's like, and I go, what? It's like, did you see those guys? Did you see the way they were looking at you? Like, I even saw one of them with their girlfriends, and they're trying to check you out while I'm with you and stuff like that. Like, they're so jealous right now. Like, I'm walking with like the prettiest girl right now, and they all want a piece of that. First of all, I did not notice anyone looking at me. Second of all, I'm pretty sure you're making all of this up in your mind. And for you to start getting annoyed and like half bragging that you're with the prettiest girl at the beach that night, and we're not even together. Yeah, so whatever. So we finish our walk and we get back to the car, and again, I am so ready. I am so ready to be home. But I drop him off at his house, and I just want to like open his door to, you know, shoo him out, but for some reason he's just sitting there in the car still and talking, asking me a million questions about the movie again. He starts telling me how scared he is, and how he doesn't know how he's going to get any sleep that night, and how he's starting to sweat because he's so nervous. I'm telling him I have work in the morning. I think I told him I had church. I'm finding every excuse. I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth, but again, I was so over it at that time. I just really wanted to go home. So before the end of the date, well, the date or whatever we were doing in the car, like talking for hours, the John Legend song comes on. It was the John, I forgot the lyrics to the song, but he says something like, I'm just like waiting for the opportunity to do something. I'm waiting for that one word. And he starts singing along to it, and he's like looking at me, just like, I'm just waiting. I'm gonna remember the name of the song later, or the lyrics, and I'm gonna put it in the description bar. But he was basically asking like permission for me to say like I would go out with him again and to give him a kiss. Oh no, that was so funny. So I was just playing dumb. I didn't know what in my head didn't know what he was talking about, because he definitely was not getting a kiss from me. He's lucky he got to hold my hand for those 2.5 seconds. And he's like looking at me, and he's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for you to say the word to go. Yeah, I think the song has something to do with go. Anyways, it was a no. I didn't even mention this part, but some part during the date, he started talking about how he doesn't like Trinidadians, and Trinidadians are low class, and they think that they're this, that, and the other. And he knows that I'm part Trinidadian. And on top of that, he's also a Lakers fan. Later on, I find out that he doesn't even believe in God, and he thinks people like me, church people that go to church, are like fake Christians, and he thinks everybody in church is fake. So it goes without saying, that date was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. We were like night and day. I thought it went terrible. In his head, he thought it went great. And not only was that the worst date I've ever been on, he was one of the worst people I've ever hung out with. Like, it just was not cool. We did not click at all. And the funny thing is, we stayed in touch for like months later, and like years later, I promise you, years later, he texted me asking me questions like, did I actually like him and stuff like that, and how he had real strong feelings for me. And I was very confused, because I'm like, I don't think we were on that same date that day. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought it went terrible. You're thinking it went great. You're telling me you have feelings for me, and I just wanted to be over you. You told me you didn't even like me. You said you didn't like Trinidadians, so why are you talking to me? I'm just confused. I'm very confused. And did I tell you that he was a Lakers fan? Come on now. I'm a diehard Heat fan, and the Heat is like the best team ever in my opinion, and I can't stand the Lakers. I can't stand Lakers people. I can't stand Laker fans. I can't stand Laker players. It's just we just don't mesh. It's not gonna work. It's just not. No, it was just doomed from the start. So I went out with him as a courtesy to my friend, and yes, I do regret it. And yes, she does owe me. And if you guys had any bad, like, worst date experiences, like, let me know about it. Like, tell me down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to have lots of different things like this all the time. Lots of story times, different experiences, and we can talk together. Be like besties. We can all be besties. Have girl talk. Girl talk. Girl talk. That's what it is now. Girl talk. Girl talk.